Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Hairdresser Studio. I am your host, and tonight we're going behind the sections and taking a deeper dive at the creative process. Tonight, my guest is very special. You might know him on Instagram as #Runchi, but he's a very special friend of mine, someone I've known for a really long time. You might know him as Paul Mitchell pro artist RyanBelmonte. Ryan, thank you so much for making some time for us tonight. Welcome to the set. And what is it you're drinking there? Wow, thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me in studio. I'm such a big fan of your work, so I really love your interview style. And I hope you don't mind. I'm just sipping on some creative juice right here. Not to worry, I brought some along for you to enjoy as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. Not bad, huh? Very tasty, the creative juice. Very tasty. Ryan, you've definitely built your reputation over the years as someone who is creative. What exactly does that mean, and what does it mean to you to be creative? For myself, it means to overthink and to overanalyze and to look and to find that void and to see what's missing. I don't even necessarily see myself as a creative person so much as I look at myself as a solutionist. Someone that's looking and trying to find ways to create solutions for problems or issues that I think are out there. You know, I'm constantly looking for different angles and trying to think, you know, how can we approach this differently? How can I look at something differently? I think daily we have a lot of opportunities to see a lot of things, and when we continue to see the same thing over and over, at least when I do, I say to myself, well, yeah, I could copy that person and try and mimic that person, but I'm not going to be able to do what they do better than them. And so rather than try and do what other people are doing, I'm going to say, hold on, how can I approach this differently? How can I take a different angle? How can I come from a different perspective to help get my work and my message across? Great explanation, and obviously it's very important to get that message across and to not be misunderstood. Ryan, every time I talk to someone that is known as a creative, I'm always very interested. What is it that inspires you, and where do you find that inspiration? Where I find my best thoughts is when my mind is calmest, and so for a long time I struggled with trying to learn meditation because I wanted to try and get some control over my thoughts and my mind. And I've just realized over time that I'm not someone who likes to be still. And so I would find that when sitting in silence and meditation, I'd just get anxious and a bit overwhelmed and frustrated that I wasn't very good at it. And there was a very busy point in my life where I just wanted to get away. And I found a lot of solace in running. And believe it or not, I started to run longer and longer distances, not only because I wanted to challenge myself physically, but I felt that it really helped me to calm my mind and start to understand and control the thoughts that were going through it. So I find meditation through running. It's where I find that I get the best ideas and that my ideas really crystallize and become quite clear to me, and allows me to get focused on, okay, this is what I need to be focused on. This is the message that I need to move forward with. Look at you thinking outside the box again when it comes to even finding inspiration. Very neat, great information. Now, another thing that I've heard from creatives is that it can be overwhelming to pick what idea you want to run with. Is this true for you? And how do you decide what idea is the right one to execute now? When is that timing right? When it comes to organizing my ideas, so for instance, if I'm working on a project, I'm opening up a notebook for sure in my phone, and that note will have the title of the project, and then underneath, it's almost like I'm just vomiting things in there all day long. So anytime I have a thought, I'm gonna write it down, I'm gonna write it in my notes. And what I like to do is get all of my thoughts out over the course of a day or two, maybe after a run, write some notes, wash the car, write some notes, whatever the case may be. And then I like to reflect. So I'll look back on those notes a day or two later, because I also don't like to get fully engulfed or encompassed in a concept. I think it's important to step back and create some space. I could say, okay, those ideas are great. I don't know what I was thinking there. That doesn't fit in here, but maybe it's good for a project down the line or in the future. So I won't delete it, I'll hang on to it. But I find that note-taking is a great way to organize those thoughts. And then once I'm able to understand, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I want to execute, now it's time for tunnel vision. And again, you know, we all have our own things. We all understand ourselves the best. I tend to obsess over things. So once that idea is formulated, now it's going to become an obsession. And sometimes I'll go days without speaking or try to and avoid conversation because I just want to fully dedicate everything and every second to thinking about what project I'm working on. What does every last detail look like in that project? What can I do to make this better? You know, there's going to be a scene that I want to shoot, but in the background, 50 yards back, there's something that I want to capture there. Not because everyone will see it, but someone will see it and someone will appreciate it, and it will play into the full piece. So I think it's important to have reflection. And once we have that idea or that concept, really do everything that we can to hone in on that and really pour everything into that concept that we have. I like to say it like this: leave everything on the court. You know, I find that when I was younger, I would constantly save things for a bigger, oh, I'm gonna save that idea and I'll utilize that somewhere else when I have a better opportunity. But you know, we constantly have an opportunity for the world to see our work now on the internet, which is a beautiful opportunity for us. So I'm going to get everything out that I can, and I want to leave everything on the court or out on the field so that when I go into my next project, I don't have any regrets about my last, and I'm ready to move forward to what's next. Very interesting. It's the details that matter. And speaking of details, what would you say is the most important piece to creating something impactful? What is that detail to you that sticks out and says, this is most important in what project I'm about to pick up? Interesting, Ryan. You speak about details. What would you say is the most important detail to creating something impactful? Is there a most important detail? Oh, the most important detail has to be quality. It has to be quality, because if it's quality, people will respect it. I find that it's difficult to be in creative fields because it's so hard to judge. A lot of people viewing creativity, whether or not they like it or dislike it, comes down to taste. But quality, it remains throughout. It's kind of that thread that sews the needle throughout. Each genre is quality. If it's quality, people will respect it. They may not like it, they may not agree with it, it may not be or fit within their taste level, it could make them uncomfortable, but if it's quality, they can respect it. That's what I've noticed. So if I'm creating something that's quality and is the best quality that I could put out, then I'm going to be proud of it, whether or not people have a taste for it or not. If it makes me happy and there's quality behind it, that's all that really matters to me. Yes, it's definitely quality that the people seek. Right, on a last note, a very important question. I know there's a lot of young kids out there watching, wondering, what do I need to do? How can I be more creative? How can I be more successful? How can I get myself out there? Do you have any advice for young kids out there that are watching this interview that want to be just like you? Yes, of course. It's refill your cup. Pour that creative juice in there, and whatever it is that refills that cup, like what is that creative juice for you? Is it a run? Is it a walk around the block, or going to a concert, heading to a park, being in nature? Only you know yourself. And so I think it's really important to find balance and not be constantly consumed and create. We can burn out very easily. So it's finding that balance in, for myself, I like to pour myself into a project, whether it be obsessing for a week and then executing during the next week or whatever it is, and losing sleep and things like that's not important. But at some point, when that project is over, I need to rest. I need to rest my mind. I need to rest my body so that I can be whole when I head into my next project. The other thing that I think is most important is be your biggest hater and judge your own work and look at your own work, appreciate your own work for sure. Definitely celebrate your own work, but don't spend too much time celebrating. Look back on your work and say, okay, that was a very successful project, but where could I have improved it? Where could I have been better? I think if we constantly ask ourselves where we can be better, that's when we start to really improve and hone in on those details and become the best version of ourselves that we can be. I think the best advice to give anybody in the world right now is just because you don't get a lot of likes or a lot of reposts or sharing or comments on your work does not mean that it's not great. But it also doesn't mean that if you do get a lot of likes and reposts and shares that your work is great. So only we can judge our work the best. Only we know what quality that we demand of ourselves. And so, pour your heart and soul into every project, but then take a step back and refill that cup and make sure that you're whole before you step into the next project. And the last thing that I think is most important is take risks. Because if you don't take risks and you don't put yourself out there and you don't put your best ideas out there, you'll never understand how big you can grow. Take risks. Very well said. Here's to taking risks. Thank you so much for your creative juices and sharing them with us tonight, as well as your time, Ryan. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. I hope you all enjoyed at home, and we'll see you on the next Inside the Hairstylist Studio. Thank you very much, and have a good night.